All right, welcome back to the show, folks. That's right, you got one more hour of our 3-hour tour. You got the American Adversaries live on AM 660 The Answer and 1520 WBZW. Thank you for being in our audience as we come to you live from the Mercury Free Broadcasting Studios. I am Christopher Hart, along with Johnny Guns, Ben Paris, Lucas Paris, Carl Jackson, and Jeff Sinnis is on the bridge. We got Sonny on the line, but we also have Joe on the line from Longwood. And he knows who said the Bible is the rock on which our republic rests, so I will let him tell you right now. Joe, thanks for calling.
Hey, thank you, Chris, for having me, and certainly I want to make sure I get this right, otherwise my deputy mayor, I'm sure, will write me in his crowd about it. But
how's it going, Joe?
Doing all right. I'm going to say Andrew Jackson.
It was Andrew Jackson. Yeah, he said it all right.
Good job, Mr. Mayor. Good job.
Do you know what else Andrew Jackson is known for? Well, there's a lot of things, obviously.
Quite a number of things.
Well, he was the first president, one of the only, I believe, the only president to defy a Supreme Court decision. Did you know that?
That related to appointments, didn't it?
No, you're thinking a little bit earlier. No, this had to do with Cherokee Nation.
Oh, okay.
The Cherokee Nation had sued the United States government for taking their doggone land. And the Supreme Court said, well, yeah, you're right, they did. They can't do that. So you know what Andrew Jackson did? He rounded them all up in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia area, and he marched them by foot to Oklahoma. They called it the Journey of Tears because so many people died on the Journey of Tears.
Trail of Tears.
Yeah. So I guess he wasn't too respectful of the Supreme Court, so I kind of had a double edge to that one tonight. But he did say the Bible is the rock on which our republic rests. Unfortunately, he did not practice its tenets.
Yeah, it's actually a quote that Reagan used to use quite a bit. He used to quote Jackson saying that regularly in a lot of.
So that's how you knew it.
That is how I knew, yeah.
Well, you're paying attention, and we appreciate that. Hey, Joe, thanks for calling, and it looks like Jeff already has your info. Have you gotten a bottle of Roxy Pacifics yet?
I have not.
Well, we're going to throw that in as a bonus. I tell you, it's summertime. Everybody needs Roxy Pacifics, especially in the summertime.
It tastes great on chicken.
It does.
I put it on everything.
Really?
Literally, you can use it as a seasoner. Yes.
It's delicious.
It is. All right.
I love it.
All right. Thanks.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
We appreciate you listening out there. So, somebody from Longwood figured it out. Aren't you proud?
One of the highest educated cities in all of Sonoma County.
There you go, Longwood.
And he's a Mets fan, so double bonus.
All right, so we're.
Well, he's really bad at sports, Steve.
All right, that's Ben Paris there. He is the the deputy mayor of Longwood, and he is also city commissioner from District 3 of Longwood. Pardon me, I'm sorry. That's my peanut butter sandwich I was eating during break there.
Didn't quite get it all the way down.
All right, it's down now, and we're time for Sunny. That's Patricia Summerlin, our California Glow Girl. Hey, Sunny, how you doing tonight?
Hi, guys. How are you?
We're doing pretty good. God bless you. You got all these health problems closing in around you. You're in our prayers. Your brother's in our prayers, and now your aunt, or your daughter's aunt is in our prayer.
Well, no, that would be your aunt. That would be my sister-in-law. My ex-husband, who passed away a couple of years back, that's his twin sister. So she is now in stage 4. She fought breast cancer and won 4 times, and now I guess they found cancer in her liver.
Oh Lord!
Yeah,
that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, and as you know, my brother is now back in ICU. They airlifted him yesterday, so I just got that news. But
so your brother Walter, and your ex-sister-in-law, her name?
Yes, Michelle.
Walter and Michelle, folks, please pray for Walter and Michelle tonight, and all the souls who are out there suffering. Well, in our condolences, our sorrows go out to you, and hopefully things will turn out for the best.
Yes, that's what I'm praying for hard too, guys, and we leave it in God's hands, and only God knows, and I just don't want, any pain or suffering either which way, because there's enough in this world as we know it.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit of news. The news just broke. They got the second fugitive that escaped from the Clinton facility up there in New York. Can you give us any details? We haven't been able to really watch the news here.
Yeah, I guess they got him, and it was near the Canadian border. That was the second one. The first one they found in that cabin, or nearest the cabin, and they shot both of these wanted criminals.
Did they kill the second one?
Yes.
So
Yes.
they killed them both in the fight out.
Yes.
Shootout, I should say.
Shoot out, fight.
Yeah. But they played the Rambo type. They weren't going to go back, I guess.
Well, yeah. What have they got to lose now? I mean, they were in there. They're, I guess, convicted murderers, and hey, you know, that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's the futility of escaping.
Yes.
But it took them 2 weeks, but they finally rounded them up and got these guys. That's good news.
Yeah, that is some good news right there. We need them out there on top of, you know, all these other ISIS terrorist acts that are happening.
Sonny, let me ask you about this Supreme Court decision Friday on marriage. It's a ruling on marriage. It could be even broader sweeping than it turned out to be so far, giving same-sex couples the right to marriage. This kind of started in California because California had passed a proposition there that I'm not sure exactly the wording of it, but if I'm not mistaken, defined marriage as between a man and a woman, and then these amendments were added to state constitutions around the country. The California law was taken to court several years ago. It was declared unconstitutional. You know, California is known to be a very liberal state. How was it that they didn't go for gay marriage right away, but evidently now it's okay?
Well, it is, but there's a lot of people here still unhappy. We have a big population here in California, as you know, in up north in San Francisco and West Hollywood, California, which is nearest me, and they were all celebrating the other day. You know, they won. What can you say? Again, if you go to the Bible, and as we believe, a man should marry a woman. It's just the way it is. You know, it's not normal. You know, the only thing that I have a problem is this, guys, that if you have two couples, women or men, and they have children, and naturally they're going to have to, let's say the women don't have to adopt because they can do that, you know, utilizing a male figure, but the men have to adopt.
Right.
These children are coming up with the role model of that is okay.
Right.
They see two of the same sex, so as a child, that's not healthy at all. That's the problem I have. If they're happy, so be it. Go be happy, but again, in the eyes of God, I disagree. I think that's just inappropriate.
And Patricia, this is Carl Jackson here. You're so right on target. I have some sources and read some studies where this is something that isn't told about how many children that grow up in these in homes of same-sex couples that are really need a lot of therapy. They oftentimes seek therapy. They oftentimes don't want to be in that situation. Now, obviously, there will always be exceptions to the rule, but the fact of the matter is, and we can see a lot of these kids that came out and wrote letters to the Supreme Court and just how they were tormented because regardless, even if you love both daddies or mommies as they claim they did, they said it never got rid of the fact that we always felt like we needed the other parent.
And I want to address that, and I want to address what you said, Sonny, because you're so right. You mentioned role models. See, part of the family structure is that we provide role models to the children. And you need role models of differing sorts, if you will. That's why you had the male role model and the female role model. It was not just because you need those two parts to make the third. In other words, you need males and females to make the babies. But it was also to show the babies the two different types of behavior, if you will, so that they could come up with a balanced upbringing. We're getting out of balance here. Everything is too far one side or too far the other side. And without balance, how can you expect to raise balanced children? And then there is the role model effect, as you said, Sonny, is that children begin to see this as quote-unquote normal behavior. And it is anything but. If there is any one thing, one purpose that we have here on this planet, it is to reproduce, to produce offspring. In other words, to produce life. And this is contrary to that. And in my opinion, it's a form of birth control. It's a form of population control, just like abortion is. Abortion is used as a form of population control. It's sold as women's choice, but it's really population control. And I think that this is the same thing, and that over time it will have a negative effect on population growth. And when the population doesn't grow, we begin to slide backwards. And we will not only slide backwards economically, but we will slide backwards culturally as well. Sonny?
Oh, I agree 110% with that, because that will only have a rollout effect of the unbalanced system, which will breed kids being unhappy in the home because of their parents. Let's say the effect of watching two of the same sex growing up. There is no balance. So what's going to happen to that child? Will he be out there being the next, angered shooter, for instance? Who knows? Or just, we don't know. And it's a very sad thing. However, California has joined the bandwagon, and Obama was highly up there speaking of it and very happy about it. I was like, wow. Again, I was watching on Facebook with my fellow wrestlers in the swarm of the squared circle, and a lot of them are very upset. I see Chavo Guerrero putting out his comments, and that's senior. And some of them are jumping on, though, the gay community on his wording. I'm like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of us wrestlers aren't too happy about it.
Yeah.
But however, we still live in a society. It will happen. It will go on, and we can't change that. Like I said, I live in, nearest West Hollywood, and that's always been the gay community. That's fine. Stay in that. But now they've made their movement everywhere loud and proud.
Yeah, it's kind of forcing their values, I feel, on us. If society moves that way on its own, then society moves that way. But when you have tyrannical judges that say, hey, this is how it's going to be, it stinks. And I'm reading this article now.
But just real quick, okay. That's one thing, and I'll let you read the article.
Sure.
But John Roberts actually said in the dissent, he said just that. He said, look, the country appears to be moving this way anyway. Let the country do it on its own. It'll be more effective that way. People will be more accepting of it that way, and we won't be sitting here as tyrants. He said, he says, what gives us the right to do this?
The judge that gave us socialized medicine said that.
Believe it or not. But,
I'm reading this story about his UFC fight. I actually tried to stay up and watch it last night, but I fell asleep because I was too tired from work. But anyway, the guy that I wanted to lose actually won. But I'm reading this article now. I'm glad he did win. And he's a Cuban. He escaped from the island prison in Cuba. Yoel Romero, UFC fighter, and basically the guy can barely speak English. But he said, "What's wrong with you, America? What are you doing?" Speaking to the Supreme Court thing, he was like, "You guys used to be the best in the world. What happened to you?" And he talked about Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. So he was responding to that with the crowd full of gay marriage supporters. And he basically turned to them and said, "What's wrong with you guys? The world is looking at us. They're seeing what's happening to America. And I think a lot of places are wondering what happened to America."
Sonny?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
It just goes back to the moral values, the family values, and that's all out
the window. It sure is. Sonny, I just have a couple of minutes left. The terrorist threat here in the United States has been elevated to its highest level since 9/11. LAX has been a target of terrorism in the past. Is this being talked about in the media out there at all? This elevated terrorist threat, at least through the 4th of July?
Oh yeah. Due to the 4th of July, they're hyping up security everywhere and everything. Again, that's the perfect time for someone to do something here.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that what happened in France, Tunisia, and Kuwait is devastating.
It
really is.
It is, and it shows that when it can happen in France, obviously it can happen here, and it is happening here. And so far we've been pretty lucky, and obviously some great skill, but a lot of it has just been luck that these terrorists have been caught and stopped here. But unfortunately, they're going to keep trying, and at some point they're going to succeed, unfortunately. And I just wonder if we're prepared for that.
Oh, I hope we are, guys. That's for sure, because these guys have proved themselves to be ruthless. And, you know, I watched the news here locally. We had a couple beheadings, and I thought, wow, is that relative to terrorists? As we had an older gentleman here in L.A. was beheaded.
Really?
What makes you think? Oh, yeah, a couple beheadings. It's horrible.
Do they know?
Horrible.
Are they saying it is in any way related to terrorism, or is this
I believe the follow-up on that wasn't sure, and I didn't. After that, it was just too depressing for me to hear it. You know, it was kind of sad, and it was an elderly man. I think it was a random thing here, but if that is what our world's coming, you know, let's say this was not a terrorist, but it's someone that's trying to take form, watching what the terrorists are doing, you know, doing this to people in general out here, thinking beheadings now the coolest thing. That's just not, yeah, because this was the second one here, I think, in a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you keep an eye on that for us, will you?
I will.
All right.
You know it, guys.
All right. In the
Absolutely.
meantime, we'll pray for Walter and Michelle, and for
Thank
you and Shana.
Thank you, guys, and God bless.
Same to
Stay
you.
sunny over there.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, son.
Bye-bye.
All right. We'll be back with more of the American Adversaries.